Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, the home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker. 419-794-3030 is how you get in touch. You can also go to the website, arhq.com. Don't forget, if you missed the first half of the show, previous editions of America's Retirement Headquarters and you want to catch up, check out certain topics, it's all there for you to check out at your leisure on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Just search for America's Retirement Headquarters. It is right there for you to check out whenever you're ready. Now, the Federal Reserve has penciled in one interest rate cut for this year, with more projected to follow next year. But this is leaving a lot of people wondering if a cut will happen before the election. Market analyst David Zervos tells CNBC, well, he doesn't think so.
I don't expect there's going to be enough new information before the election to really drive them to do anything significant. Maybe if inflation really were to come down super fast, right, you could maybe argue for something in September. But I think it's easier to just stand pat, watch the data, say we need more information, and then make some decisions once you know whether it's Trump versus Biden in early November. And they'll have 2 meetings this year to go on after they get that information. And the market will probably give them a lot of feedback to think about where financial conditions go after the election.
So with the election looming large, has that made some of your clients anxious, or are they taking things in stride to see how it's going to shake out?
You know, I think after that recent debate, everybody's a little bit anxious this year about the elections. Sure. And if they weren't before, I think after that, I look at some of the debates going back in the past with the different presidents, and boy, how things are different. The biggest concern that I have is sometimes people will tell me, well, Nolan, this time it's different. And I hear that, and that's such a dangerous thing to say. And when you're thinking about, how is the election impacting financial plans, long term, this is just one more event and endless events that our country has to go through. And we as a country will get through this. If you go back to listen to previous shows that we did in the past, of course, you can check those out on our YouTube channel, America's Retirement Headquarters, or our Spotify. What we had talked about in the past is election years tend to be strong years within the stock market. And that's exactly what we've seen so far, that we've had, really strong, in specific categories, growth this year in the markets. And so what you don't want to do is you don't want to make a short-term decision about things like the elections that can impact your long-term financial plans. At the same time, if you're anxious about the market, just know there are specific steps that we can take to kind of hedge your bet a little bit and ultimately to protect you. Number one is, dependent upon your unique situation, one of the things that you could always do is you could protect some of your profits. Andrew, in his portfolio, he has one of the technology stocks that's been doing great, and it keeps going up and up and up and up and up. It's something that I've talked to him about, and I said, each time it keeps hitting these milestones, that could be a good opportunity for you to go ahead and sell off some of that, build up some of your cash position. So if and when there's a pullback in the market, it allows you to have some buying power. The second thing is there's financial products that are out there that allow you to participate if the market goes up, and they can protect you against some or all of the losses if the market goes down. So if you're anxious about the market, just know that, again, getting a second opinion may allow you to figure out some of the financial tools, products, and strategies that can be able to help you. So here's what I expect between now and the election time. Number one is I expect more market volatility. I don't expect the market to just keep going up. Election years definitely bring up uncertainty. One thing that the stock market doesn't like is uncertainty. And if you look at the polls that are out there, and of course you can look at many different polls, it depends on what you want to look at. But in general, the polls show both Trump and Biden are kind of neck and neck overall for the presidential spot coming up. So I would expect that uncertainty to create more volatility in the market. How you use that volatility can either create concern for you or it can create an opportunity. I also expect, depending upon how the outcome of the election comes, some tax policy changes. As the law is today, the current tax laws are set to expire, and unless something changes, and again, unless the administration changes, I do believe that there's going to be some tax changes that have to happen. In general, in the long run, I think there's going to be tax changes that have to happen just because of the amount of spending that our government has been doing for the past 10 or 15 years and the massive amount of debt that we have. But I think it's clear, one politician versus the other is going to have a different tax policy change. There was a gentleman in my office that had mentioned, if the one candidate lost, he was going to be very aggressive before the end of this year of paying some taxes and doing a Roth conversion. And number three is you could have a regulatory shift. So elections can lead towards, regulations that can impact different industries, such as healthcare. You could see changes within the energy sector, finances, technology. These changes can be impacted, I think, based upon who the winner is of the election. The economic policies, the new administration or the current administration, may bring changes in fiscal and monetary policy. Example there is they could make changes to what the government spending is, maybe talk a little bit more about the impact of where inflation is going to go, making different decisions on trying to control inflation. I know a lot of that is the Federal Reserve's job, not the president, but those things can be, I think, influenced by what those policies are that put in place. Yeah, you're going to see healthcare policy changes. Scott and Troy have just done a lot of additional work going through, as an example, what some of the changes are for Medicare next year. And there's, some big changes that are coming into the Medicare industry, but there also could be changes for other folks that are on the affordable health care. Social Security and Medicare, both programs are in a financial problem right now. Proposals to reform Social Security and Medicare can impact retirement income planning, making sure that you have a backup plan. I think the administrations differ very much so regarding what the trade policy is. The one I think tends to focus more on companies here in the U.S. and bringing jobs and growth back here in the U.S. And the other one is, more focused on the global markets. So again, how you allocate your funds could have a little bit of an impact based upon those trade policies. Consumer confidence, if you look at confidence, I don't know, my unscientific poll of just going on social media, I think a lot of people are frustrated with both sides right now. And, that watching that debate, further brings up the frustration, and that can lower the consumer confidence. And so when you have lower consumer confidence and people tend to back down on spending, those changes in consumer behavior can influence the economic growth and the investment opportunity. Number 9 is infrastructure spending. Some of the administrations, the priorities are going to be different on where they're spending money at. Where sectors are going to benefit from that. Again, energy, construction, transportation, technology. And the last is interest rates. The Federal Reserve is the one that's responsible for those economic policies of an administration. But the administration can really, in my opinion, have an influence on where rates are, affecting some of the borrowing costs that are out there, and make what could be a good or bad move for overall the economic growth in the economy. So the impact is going to be something that will be historic. But again, there's, always something historic going on in this country.
Sure.
Don't think this time it's different. Have a plan in place. Stick to your long-term plan. If you're anxious, call us. Let's talk and walk through that independent portfolio analysis. We can talk to you about different ways to give you a little bit more peace of mind, so at night you can rest your head and just enjoy the retirement that you've dreamed of.
I think one could argue, the one thing that might be different going into this election is we're all closer to retirement, and you might be in that retirement red zone. And so you want to make sure that, whatever may come down the line, it doesn't jeopardize the quality of your retirement. And so that is where having a proper plan in place to know that, guess what? We have one of these every 4 years. If you count the Senate, every 2 years. And so you don't want to have something where you have to head to the hills every 2 years when an election happens. You want to have a plan in place that's going to get you to, through, and beyond. And that is where that independent portfolio analysis, the independent income system, the retirement team action plan all comes into play to hopefully give you a little bit more confidence throughout the years, and you don't have to worry about it come November. As it all starts with a phone call, 419-794-3030. That is the number. Or you can go to the website, find out more about the team, schedule a time to speak with them at arhq.com.